only on our physical health, but our emotional, mental, and spiritual health as well. With our unhealthy routines and busy schedules, taking time out for exercise seems impossible. Having said that, one of the best holistic exercises that not only keeps our body flexible and healthy, but also our minds and souls energized is yoga. Therefore, in a series of programs for the Yoga Mahotsav 2022, a great endeavor has been taken by our institute in organizing different events. The first such event was held on 14th March 2022 at Manav Rachna International Institute of Research and Studies, which saw the presence of various dignitaries. Dr. Ishwar V. Baswareddy, the director of Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga, where we had eminent talks from different speakers like Dr. Arpit Kumar Dubey from Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga and Dr. Lakshmi Kandan again from Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga. Today, we have among us one of the forerunners in the field of peace and harmony for the webinar, Dr. Swami Atmapriyananda ji. And this webinar is being held in a hybrid mode, which is being conducted in both online and offline mode. And this webinar is held in collaboration with Radio Manav Rachna and is being live telecasted. Now, I request our PVC sir, Dr. GL Khanna, to please kindly welcome our eminent speaker, Honorable Dr. Swami Atmapriyananda ji.
Unmute it. Namaskar, Pranam Swamiji, and on behalf of Manav Rachna International Institute of Research and Study, I welcome you, sir. And I know, sir, how busy you are, and you have given us time to, in the short notice itself, and got associated with this this Abhiyan, which has been initiated by the Ministry of Ayush and with the help of some other institute. So it's our privilege to have with you, to have you with us. And this about Swami Atmapriyananda ji, everyone knows now. He is such a popular personality in the field of yoga, and he is a monk of the Ramakrishna order and an Indian university administrator. We all know that he joined Ramakrishna order in the 1978 and inspired by Ramakrishna Vivekananda ideology of spiritual liberation combined with service to humanity in the spirit of worship of God in man. And he has been serving higher education institution for nearly 4 decades. As a monk and as educationist, his present interest, we know that Swami Vivekananda's educational vision, education for character building in the youth, yoga with Vedanta vis-a-vis modern science, Ramakrishna thought in the context of present day challenges, consciousness studies as taught in the Upanishads, synthesis of 4 yogas as taught by Swami Vivekananda and Bhagavad Gita, and also harmony of religions as lived and taught by Sri Ramakrishna. He received his PhD in theoretical physics involving elementary particle theory from the University of Madras. And Swamiji served as the Vice Chancellor of Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda University for more than 15 years. Since its very inception of this unique institution, I have visited that, and it was envisioned by Swami Vivekananda himself. He continues to be associated with this university as a pro-chancellor now and tries to contribute to its growth in that capacity, and also continues as the secretary of the University Center at Belur, Calcutta, near Calcutta, it is in Howrah. He is also involved in the council, various capacity also, and he had been invited by various conferences across the world, across the globe. He travels extensively in India and abroad, as we have seen in various videos. I have learned a lot from those videos also. And today we are lucky to have with us, and I hope he will give us the blessing and will give us guidance to take up some path of spirituality and yoga, as well as keep our us healthy also. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us. And we, on behalf of Manavarachana International University and on behalf of all my colleagues from Manavarachana International University, welcome you, sir. And we'll request you to deliver and give us blessing. Thank you very much for joining us. Swamiji.
So may we begin with the traditional Shanti mantra chanting. This mantra is well known from the Katha Upanishad, wherein the Guru and the Shishya, the preceptor and the disciple, together invoke the blessings of the Supreme Being for making their learning effective and illuminative, and for removing any dissension or disharmony that could arise in the course of education. So I will chant that, give a simple translation and proceed. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. May the Supreme Being protect us both, the teacher and the disciple, by revealing to us the true nature of knowledge. May the Supreme Being protect us both, the teacher and the disciple, by revealing to us the practical application of that knowledge. May we both, the teacher and the disciple, strive together for the acquisition of knowledge and wisdom. May the knowledge and wisdom that we acquire be effective and illuminative. May there be no disharmony between us. Om, peace, peace, peace. Om, that existence. So yoga is a word which is much discussed all over the world. It's a very ancient word, and all of us know it comes from the dhatu, yuju dhatu, whose popular meaning is that you unite. Yoga is union. Union between the individual soul and the Supreme Soul and so on. But the yoga philosophy, darshana, yoga darshana, as propounded by the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali and as commented by Veda Vyasa, the Vyasa Bhashya, yoga is interpreted as meaning samadhi. Yuja dhatu also means, apart from yoga, union, it also means contemplation, samadhi, the highest spiritual realization. Yoga samadhi, that is Vyasa Bhashya. So either way, yoga in a sense is union. In another sense, yoga is disunion. In the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, Viyogam yoga uchyate. Yoga is actually viyoga. Yoga means disunion. What is disunion? The disunion between Purusha and Prakriti. So the main purpose of yoga, it is said, is Purusha Prakriti Viveka. Viveka means discernment, separation between Purusha and Prakriti. All of us seek happiness and want to avoid misery. If you ask, what is it that people want? Everybody will vouch that we want to pursue happiness. We want to be joyful. We want to be happy. For which we think health brings us happiness, wealth brings us happiness, and we do not exactly know what actually brings us happiness. When we age, when experience gathers, we realize that none of these changing, ephemeral, evanescent acquisitions can make us permanently happy. Temporarily, you may be happy. 2 years ago, everybody was happy. Now, suddenly, there's a huge pandemic and lockdown, and slowly everybody becomes unhappy. And now it appears that things are opening up, although it is reported in European and other countries that another variant of this Omicron is becoming slowly contagious everywhere. So again, there's a fear. So happiness is connected with fearlessness, and unhappiness is connected with fear. This is another important thing to note. Fear is one thing which gives you tremendous unhappiness. And in the Upanishad, the Supreme Being is described in various ways. Supreme Being called Brahman. Brahman is Brihat, huge, vast, infinite. The definition of Brahman is given in the Upanishads, the Taittiriya Upanishad, for example. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Brahman is Satyam, truth. Jnanam, consciousness or knowledge. Anantam, infinite. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, Vijnanam Anandam Brahma. Brahman is Vijnana, special, intense spiritual knowledge of the Supreme Reality, and Ananda, that is joy. It is also described as Chit Ananda Swarupa. These are well-known Vedantic terms. Sat, existence. Chit, consciousness or knowledge. Ananda, joy or bliss. And every one of them is absolute. It is not a relative knowledge. It is not a relative existence. It is not a relative joy. It's absolute existence, absolute knowledge, and absolute bliss. And there is a very interesting definition in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which was discovered in recent times by Swami Vivekananda. Many people did not know this definition, perhaps, or somehow it is not emphasized. Swami Vivekananda in recent times seems to have discovered this, as it were. There's a very simple statement, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Yajnavalkya Janaka Samvada. Yajnavalkya is a great rishi, one of the outstandingly great rishis. And Janaka was a king, but a man of knowledge. He was intensely involved in the administration of the kingdom. At the same time, he was deeply concerned about spreading the message of Vedanta by calling conferences of the rishis. He himself being a man of the highest wisdom. In the Yajnavalkya Janaka Samvada, there is a beautiful statement about the definition of Brahman. Yajnavalkya tells Janaka, O Janaka, O king, O emperor, you have attained fearlessness. Abhayam vai Janaka praptosi. You have attained Abhaya, and therefore you have attained Brahman, because Brahman is fearlessness. Abhayam vai Brahma. This small, pithy definition of Brahman, the supreme reality, as being fearlessness, is extremely important for the present day, because the greatest enemy of peace, harmony, and joy in the present day is fear. Everybody is so terribly full of fear. We are afraid all the time. That's because we can't trust one another. We can't live in peace with ourselves, with the environment, with the world, and our neighbors. And we are constantly worried about our self-interest. And therefore, there's a fear. My wealth may be taken off by somebody else. Somebody will be backbite me. Somebody will be after me. All the time you suspect others, you're chasing others, and you are afraid of others. So what is the way out? Way out is the realization of the Supreme, which gives you fearlessness. This was the message of the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan to Arjuna. Recall the verses of the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna is a great warrior. He was the general of an army of the Pandavas. He was leading the army, and the war has been declared. The conch shells have been blown, and drums have been beaten. And the Bhagavad Gita first chapter describes Sashabdas tumulo nabhasta prithivim jaiva tumulo janunadaya. The whole sky and the earth was trembling by the tremendous noise created by the conch shell blowing and the beating of drums. Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devadattam Dhananjaya Audram Tadno Mahashankam Bhimakarma Vrikodara. All the Pandavas one by one they took out that blew, and Sashabdas Tumulo Bhavat. War was just about to begin. And Arjuna was in the highest peak of his form. Remember this. He was not out of form. Full of confidence, full of tremendous strength within himself to defeat the enemy. He goes to the battlefield and tells the Sarathi, Bhagavan himself became Partha Sarathi, the charioteer of Arjuna. What does Arjuna tell him? O Achyuta, O Krishna, take my chariot and place it betwixt these two armies. Senayo Rubhayor Madhye Ratam Sthapayame Achyuta. What do I want to do? I want to see the faces of the stupid Kauravas who want to die at my hands. Look at the confidence level. Who dares to fight with Arjuna in this battlefield? Dharta Rashtrasya Durbuddhe Yuddhe Priyachikirshaha. They become very hungry for battle because of Durbuddhi, because of completely misguided understanding. They are so eager to die, and therefore they have come to me to die. And Sri Krishna being the divine Mayavi, Sri Krishna is a very interesting character in the Mahabharata. Like a child, he moves around everywhere and so simple, so innocent, so humble. He chose to become the Atithi Sevak in the Rajasuya Yajna. What was the job given to him? To wash the feet of the Atithis, various guests who came, the kings. He chose to become the washer of the feet of these Atithis. That was the divine Lord himself. And he chose to become the Sarathi. In the modern language, Sarathi is a driver. Suppose you have a car driver and you want to go somewhere. Hey, driver, get the car ready. So he gets up and immediately washes the car, then sees everything is in order. So Sri Krishna gets up in the morning and then cleans and shampoos all the horses, feeds them well, and the Ratha cleans the Ratha and is ready. And Partha Sarathi is getting the Ratha ready. And what is Partha doing? Arjuna is commanding the Lord, go, keep the chariot betwixt these two armies. And the Mayavi being Sri Krishna, he goes and places the chariot just in front of Bhishma and Drona. Look at Sri Krishna's mischief. Bhishma and Drona are the two people who taught him the weaponry and the archery, the great gurus of Arjuna, but they are fighting on the other side. Mahabharata is such a grand epic and creates complex situations. Nothing is simple there. And Sri Krishna's divine wisdom is also shown there. Bhishma Drona Pramukhata Sarvesham cha Mahikshitam Uvacha. Then he told Partha, Pasya etan guru niti. See what the people assembled. Then Arjuna saw Bhishma, Drona, and all the great kings, their own kith and kin, Acharya, Madhula, Putra, Pautra, Sakhims, Tatha, then started collapsing. Etan nahantu michhami gratopi madhusudana. How fear grips and lack of confidence comes. How? Shankaracharya, the great commentator Bhashyakara says, Aham and Mama, I and mine. Ahankara and Mamakara, these two, when they grasp your mind, then you lose your wisdom and become nervous, become weak, become fearful. They are my people. Swajanam hi katham hatva sukhinasya mamadhava. By killing my own people, how can I be happy? So the moment I and mine comes to a person, he becomes weak, he becomes unhappy, he becomes depressed, and becomes fearful. That is the message of the Bhagavad Gita. So Sri Krishna cheers him up by saying, Klaibyam mas bhagama parthana itatpai upapadyade shudram hridaya daurbalyam taktotishta parantapa. Second chapter, in the beginning, Swami Vivekananda said this contains the essence of the whole of Gita. What is that? Klaibyam mas bhagama partha. Hey Partha, don't yield to faint unmanliness. Get up, fight. This doesn't become you. You are a great warrior. Tektva, uttishta. Give up and get up and fight. Give up what? Shudram hridaya daurbalyam. This despicable, mean, hridaya daurbalya, faint-heartedness, weakness of the heart, this depression. This message is all the more necessary now because of the past 2 years of this pandemic and depression and people not being able to go out. Children are unable to go to school. Adults are not able to go to colleges and universities. Seniors are unable to attend offices. Everywhere there's gloom, depression. Now Sri Krishna comes and says, give up this faint-heartedness, this gloomy atmosphere, get up and fight. This entire world is a battlefield. And life itself is a huge fight, huge challenge. And the worship that you give to God is actually a sangrama, fight that you go through in life. Every challenge which comes to you has to be faced and overcome. Do not think it is an inconvenience, that is a depression, it is going to devastate you. Take it as a challenge. Face the challenge and overcome this challenge, and we can. Because we have the infinite power. Sri Krishna goes on to tell Arjuna, you are that infinite self. You are the immortal self. Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swabhava, ever free, ever awakened, ever pure. Ajayate mriyate va vipaschannayam bhutva bhavita na bhuyaha ajo nitya shashvadoyam purano nahanyate anyamane sharire. The Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter. You are unborn, undecaying. You never grow, you never decay. And you are eternal, you are pure. And a very significant word is used, Purana. Purana consists of 2 words put together, Pura and Nava. Bhashyakara Shankara says, Pura api Nava iti Purana. Although it is very antique and ancient and old, still it is ever new. How can a thing be very ancient and still very new? The example is the atmosphere, nature. When you see the sun rising in the morning, anybody from anywhere in the world, does he or she feels that the same sun I have been seeing every day? Does it appear old? But is it the beautiful moon rising on a full moon day, the soothing rays of the moon touching you, the golden rays as it were? Do you feel it is the same moon you have been saying? Are you tired of it? No. Every day you see nature. Every day is the oceans, the rivers, and the plantation and the flowers. Every day you feel it is new, every day it is fresh. Although nature has been existing for millennia after millennia, still there's a freshness, there's a newness. So can you live a life which is old yet new? Physical body may be new, your hair may turn gray, and physically you may be aging, but can you live a life of freshness, always fresh, happy, joyful? That does not depend upon the outside, depends on you inside. Because remember, you are that immortal self. Ajo Nitya Shashvata Purana. Sri Krishna gives this message following the Upanishads, because the Gita is the essence of the Upanishads. The Gita Mahatmya, it is said, Upanishads can be considered to be cows, milk cows, and Sri Krishna is the milkman. And the calf for which the milk is being taken out of the cow is Partha, Arjuna, keeping him as the nimitta, as a ruse. Sri Krishna is giving out this great message of Gita. And who enjoys? Sudhir Bhokta. Sarvo Panishado Gamo Dogtha Gopalanandana Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta Duktham Gita Amritam Mahat. So following the Upanishad, Sri Krishna tells Arjuna, and through Arjuna tells all of us. Remember, Sri Krishna is speaking to every one of us because his message is eternal. These great saints and prophets and avatars in the world religions, be it Shankara, be it Sri Krishna, Rama, be it Christ, or be it Buddha or Muhammad, all these great prophets of the world, they speak to the entire humanity, not at that time, but even now. Even now, people are reverentially studying these holy books, the Vedas and the Vedanta, the Bhagavad Gita, the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, the Hinduism, the Holy Bible in Christianity, the Torah in Judaism, the Quran in the Islam. So all these holy books give us the message of awakening and strength. Strength is the one word which comes like a bombshell from every page of the Upanishads. Swami Vivekananda said, Abhi, be fearless, be fearless. Fear will come the moment you identify with the body, you identify with the mind, you identify yourself with all that you possess. I have a bank balance, permanent investment I have made. Suddenly the interest has come down. I thought I would get interest of 9%, 10%. There's a huge provident fund account in my name. Suddenly the interest has come down. I'm not getting even half of what I used to get. That's a terrible fear. How will I survive? If I depend on anything outside, my money, my wealth, my wife, my children, slowly this fear creeps in. And my own body. I pampered my body when I was young. I was so handsome, so beautiful. The young men and women, how much time they spend before the mirror. looking at themselves, admiring their own beauty. But remember, it will go, not immediately, but slowly. You will age, your beauty will vanish, your hair will turn gray, and your mind will become weak, and you will become helplessly dependent on your relatives and friends and your children. One child is in USA, the other child is in UK, and now one day they call, "Mommy, how are you? Oh, I'm so sad, you are suffering, but I am helpless, I can't go now." And then the mother is crying. Because you depend on somebody else. But the body has to depend, the mind has to depend, but as a spirit, you have no dependence. So can we try to identify ourselves as that infinite spirit? Even infinitesimally, even to a small extent, that will give us tremendous strength. So three kinds of strength are spoken of in the Upanishads, in the scriptures, in Hinduism. One is Bahubala, the strength of the muscles. Bahubala is being displayed by Russia against Ukraine. Weaponry, strength, money. You have the physical might, and therefore you can bully anybody, whatever be the reason. And Bahubala will not go for long, because your Bahu, your strength of the muscles also become weak. A time will come you can't even get up. You are so strong physically once upon a time. Body will decay. Then Buddhibala. Buddhibala is intellectual strength. I can remember things, I can write beautifully, I can speak wonderfully. The power of the intellect. The power of the intellect is tremendous. Those who can speak well in any field of life you can see. Those who can communicate beautifully, those who can remember, the sparkling memory people have, an excellent communication capacity. Such a person is worthy of great admiration. Buddhibala. Very sharp understanding, manipulative, maneuvering, how you can put down the other man, you know well. This bala will not also work not for a long time. A time will come, your buddhi, your intellect also will slowly decay. The brain is a machine which stores this intelligence, and the brain, when it decays through dementia, you don't remember anything. When we were students, we were so alarmed, saddened, intensely unhappy when we used to see Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, one of the geniuses of philosophers of our time. When we used to listen to his lectures, flowing like a river, his words, the way he pronounced, and the ideas, quotations from the Upanishads and the Gita in Sanskrit, we were spellbound. But toward the end of his life, because of dementia, he lost his memory. He could not remember the verses which he has memorized once upon a time. He could not even recognize his wife and children. That is Buddhibala. How can you depend on Buddhibala? Then the Upanishads, the Rishis, and our ancient spiritual wise people discover. Beyond that is the Atmabala. Atmabala is a strength which comes from your inner self, the higher self, which is the Atman, which is identical with Brahman, as Shankara taught us. Infinite source of undiminishing energy. You tap that, it comes. Physically, you may be weak. Mentally, you may be devastated, as now. But as the Atman, as the infinite immortal self, which is the Ananda Swarupa, which is Jnana Swarupa, which is Sat Swarupa, Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa, you are the immortal self. You will never decay, you will never die. The body may die, the mind may die, but you can't die. So strength should come from Atma Bala. The beauty of India and the yoga philosophy, which we are discussing now, we discovered long ago, millennia ago, that the Atma Bala, which you can tap, you don't have to go out anywhere. You are just sitting here, you can tap the Atma Bala, just here, visit. What should you do? Very simple. The mind and the senses are constantly going out. The eye has to see the greatest Rakshasa of the modern times. What is that? Every one of our boys and girls and old and young know the Rakshasa is the smartphone, the Android. I can see so many youngsters listening virtually from there. I can see the hall. Every one of them is busy browsing, seeing emails and listening to something else we don't know. So the Rakshasa, when she catches you, simply work on. The eye has to see. Why is the smartphone so interesting and smart? Because it's interactive. You can see visual and hear audio. And you can talk to people as I'm talking to you. So it is so fascinating and everybody is hooked onto it, and slowly like a Rakshasa, it simply finishes you. Whole day and night are gone. In the last 2 years, this addiction to the smartphone, addiction to the social media, the Twitters and Facebooks, how much damage it has done to our students, you can't just imagine. People can't remember anything because everything is the smartphone. If you ask them to add up 2 and 2, 2 plus 2, they will need a calculator for that. Because we have created such a society. The eye has to see, the ear has to hear, and the tongue has to taste, and the nose has to smell beautiful fragrance, and the twak, the skin has to have the pleasure of touch. These senses are constantly outgoing. And therefore, you can't turn inward to the source of infinite joy just here. The Kathopanishad therefore says, Parang jikhani vitrinat swayambhu tasmat parang pashyadin antaratman kaschid dhira pratyagatma namaikshat avritta chakshara amritatvamichan. Very famous verse. It says, since the beginning of creation, the Swayambhu, whoever created us, he has made the senses outgoing. And therefore, the senses constantly run towards the outside. There are some people who are dhira. Dhira means a viveki, discriminating person, discerning person, who can discern between the real and the unreal, the permanent and the impermanent, the shashvata and anitya. Such people, what do? They turn the entire senses inward. The inwardization of the constantly outgoing senses. This process of inwardization is called yoga. Yoga is very simple. Eyes are going out, close the eyes. Why are you asked to meditate with closed eyes? Because the moment the eye is open and you try to meditate, you constantly see here, see there, what's happening. And nowadays people switch off the video and do something else during seminars. Because I've been doing this game for 2 years continuously every day. So I know the game. The students are attending online classes, but the video is off. So what they're doing, nobody knows. So the senses have to be turned inward. Avritta chakshuhu. Why? Amritatvamichan. Desiring immortality, desiring the gift of amritatva, undying essence in you, to realize that, you turn inward. The inwardization of the outgoing senses and the mind is called yoga. So the Atma Bala is the supreme Bala. In the international relations, there's a new concept which has emerged some years ago. It's called the soft power. Many of you must have heard about this. They say soft power will always conquer hard power. And they say India, in that sense, is the top of the soft power countries. Remember, India has been surviving millennia after millennia after so many invasions, after so much of devastation. There's nothing new. Nalanda Vishwavidyalaya, the great university in Nalanda, had the rarest of the rare manuscripts and books in the library. And the attack of the invaders, they burnt that library. Now we talk big about Shanti, peace, etc. How much we have gone through. And it seems the library burnt for 6 months. Entire collection gone. But India survives. Because everything is in the mind. Books, we didn't depend on books. Shruti, it is called. Vedas are called Shruti, means listening. Listen to the teacher. Carefully listen. And with the power of brahmacharya, power of purity of mind, the body, whatever you listen, you remember. As it were, your mind and the brain has become a photocopying and Xerox machine or a scanner. And whatever comes through the ears, it simply sticks and you create a file and put it there. So you can recover immediately. It is possible. Shankaracharya's memory and medha we have heard. The recent times we saw Swami Vivekananda himself demonstrate this. There's an interesting story. In those days, Belur Mutt, the headquarters of the Ramakrishna Mutt and Ramakrishna Mission, it was very poor, funds were very meager. But in spite of that, Swami Vivekananda had tremendous eagerness for knowledge. So he purchased 25-volume set of encyclopedia. Shining volumes, one by one. He was reading them, recently published at that time, 1901. His dear disciple, Sharat Chandra Chakravarti, went to him and saw the shining volumes. Then he says, Swamiji, I think it is not possible for any human being to complete these 25 volumes and master the contents in one's lifetime. Swamiji said, what do you mean? I have finished 10 volumes and they're doing the 11th. Soon I'll finish everything. And you can ask any question from anywhere from the 10 volumes. And the disciple is stunned. The guru is being tested by the disciple. So the disciple took a volume, 8th volume, for example, opened a page at random, asked a question. Swamiji not only answered, in many cases, exactly repeated what was there in that page. Then the disciple said, Swamiji, this is superhuman power. No human being can match it. Swamiji snubbed him. This is one thing we should remember. We remember the holy men, we remember great men. How? Today is a holiday. So-and-so's birthday. So you go and watch movies, you can play cricket and spend your time. That is the day in which you should find out what they have done, what their contribution, study, meditate, and deeply try to follow them. Swamiji scolded him severely. This is one problem with all of you. You don't want to follow in my footsteps, but simply eulogize me and then praise me as a great God. Always worshiping. The Utsava Priyata, ritualism, and worshiping great. Whether it is, they may be politically great, they may be intellectually great, they may be spiritually great. Keep them and then go on eulogize. You can see in the modern world. Go on eulogizing and stuti, praising them to the skies, and everybody will clap. But these really great men don't want to be praised. They want to be followed. Swamiji said, follow what I say. I don't need your praise. It is possible by you, Swamiji said. You also have the same kind of brain. Cultivate it. Energize it. If you try, every one of the boys and girls present here, to them, I have only one message from Swami Vivekananda. Each one of you has tremendous power. You try. I can't remember everything, I forget before exams, people say. You try. Take a page, repeat it, memorize it, and see. Nowadays, anybody who can't memorize thinks he's a genius. Oh, I can't memorize all this. Because you're stupid, that's all. Why can't you memorize? How can you forget? The moment you read something which is very dear to you, which you like, how many cinema songs these boys and girls memorize? You tell them the particular song in that Hindi cinema, immediately they will sing. How do they know? Have they memorized? No. Something which you like, something which draws your attention, immediately you memorize. So the Atma Bala is the most superior, which will give you all Bala. Swami Vivekananda therefore wanted Bahubala, Buddhi Bala, and Atma Bala to be cultivated together. So the great yogis in India have developed this. It is possible. All the books were in the minds only. The entire Veda, the Upanishad, everything was stored in the brain. They are called Shruti Dhara, one who can immediately hold on to whatever has been heard. I will end with one story. It's a very old story. The rivalry between Vasishtha and Vishwamitra. Both of them great sages, as we know. Vasishtha was a Brahma Rishi. He was quietly living in his hermit. He was a hermit in a hermitage and living a simple life. And Vishwamitra was a king with a royal splendor and power. And he heard Vasishtha has one Kamadhenu. Kamadhenu is a holy cow which can give you anything that you ask for, like Kalpavriksha, Kalpataru. Vishwamitra comes, the king himself comes to the hermitage of the Vasishtha and says, "Oh Vasishtha, what use do you have for Kamadhenu in your hermitage? You are a mendicant. I will take away the Kamadhenu. I need Kamadhenu in my royal palace. I'll give it all honor and I'll keep it as a great treasure." Vasishtha smiled and said, "Oh Vishwamitra, O king, you may be having a royal splendor and power, but Kamadhenu will not leave this ashrama and go to you. You may try, but it's in vain." Vishwamitra got wild. What do you mean? I have so much weapon, Shastra and Astra, they say. Shastra is a weapon, physical weapon. Astra is special kind of mantras, incantations. And Astra combined with Shastra is very powerful. And he said, I will throw all these weapons at you, you will not be able to survive. Then Vasishtha said, wait, one Brahmadanda he put there, that's a stick, a wooden stick, representative, symbolic of Atma Bala, called Brahmadanda. He put it there, now you throw. Whatever the Astra and Shastra that Vishwamitra was throwing was simply swallowed, gobbled up by this Brahmadanda. One by one. Lastly, he said, he got extremely angry, infuriated. Vasishtha, I will now throw the Brahmastra. Brahmastra, mythologically, is considered to be the most powerful. It can be used only once. And if Brahmastra is irresistible, nobody can resist the power of Brahmastra. And usually it is not used because only once you can use it. Vishwamitra said, here I throw the Brahmastra, let me see how you can save yourself. Throw it. Then this Brahmadanda, Swaha, somebody swallowed the Brahmastra. Vishwamitra was flabbergasted, confused, shivering. So, Vasishtha, what is the secret of your power? Even Brahmastra could not help. Then the famous sentence which Vasishtha spoke, which is the bedrock of all that we call Indian spiritual heritage, Indian spiritual legacy, tradition, Jnana Parampara. What is that? Adhik balam, Kshatra balam, Brahmadejo balam balam. Fie upon your Kshatra bala, your Buddhi bala and Bahubala. Brahmadejo balam balam. The spiritual power of the Atman is the highest. So why I'm saying this is because these are not Vedantic ideas, and the spiritual tools are simple and practicable. Don't think they're all too high. They are practicable because it is your own self. You don't have to go anywhere. And this pandemic is even a great opportunity to look into yourself. You can't go anywhere. Oh, I can't do it. Why don't you go into your own self? You enter into yourself and discover something new. So entering into yourself and trying to realize the higher dimensions of your own self. It is not the physical dimension which you should explore. The Annamaya is the physical dimension. And the vital dimension is eating and drinking and moving around and partying. There is the Pranamaya, Manomaya, study of books and acquiring knowledge of secular matters. Manobala, Manomaya. Beyond that is the Vijnanamaya, which is the intuitive higher awareness in which you realize yourself with the spirit. Beyond that is the Anandamaya, which is supreme Brahman. So, higher dimensions of your own self you discover, and take this pandemic as a great opportunity and a challenge. This gives you an extraordinary chance to go deep into yourself and realize your higher dimensions. It is very easy. Physical yoga, you practice Hatha Yoga to make your body strong. Pranayama, you practice to make your prana strong, to make your mind strong. Fill your mind with good thoughts. My dear boys and girls, I tell you one thing, never indulge in bad, vulgar, obscene thoughts. It kills you. And that impression will go on till life. Never look at anything which is ugly and obscene. Always cultivate higher thoughts. It's so important when you are young. And beyond that is the Anandamaya. It is possible by every one of us, we can discover the higher dimension than ourselves. May great sages help us. May Patanjali help us. May Swami Vivekananda, Ramakrishna, all the great saints of all the religions of the world and prophets and avatars help us in this endeavor. Thank you so much. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so very much for sharing your valuable ideas and thoughts on the real meaning of life and existence. Definitely, sir, your words of wisdom and spirituality will lamp the light of knowledge among us, and we would be benefited in terms of happiness, peace, and spirituality. Thank you, sir. Now, I request our HOD ma'am, Dr. Divya Sanghi, to please kindly give a vote of thanks for Honorable Dr. Swami Priyatmananda ji.
Thank you, Dr. Gurseen. Good afternoon to all the participants. On behalf of Manav Rachna Education Institution, I would like to extend my gratitude to our eminent speaker of the day, Swami Atma Priyananda ji, for enlightening us with his thoughts and blessings. It was a very thought-provoking talk. Thank you so much, sir, for sparing your valuable time from your busy schedule and joining us to mark this day. Thank you so much, sir. I would like to thank Moraji Desai National Institute of Yoga and Ministry